Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. Friday morning, right before the lab is supposed to go up, and here I am recording it because I am forgetful. Anyways, welcome back to the lab, your one-stop shop for anything and everything BBR Season 6 related. If you guys didn't check out our first week, our week 0, our intro video to the lab, make sure you guys go check it out where I kind of break down everything. But what I'm doing is pretty self-explanatory. I'm taking all your favorite analyst content and wrapping it all up into one Kurpie-sized shell. So with that, let's get a week 1 recap going for you guys. As you guys can see right on the screen, I'm not going to be going super in depth, but you guys can see that we did have big wins this week coming out from these Whimsicots, the Roaring Moon, the Titangs, the Ice Qs, the Flygon, the Graveyard, the Annihilation, and the Immunity Idols. Worth pointing out that our biggest win of the week is going to OG Albina and the Carolina Roaring Moon, picking up a big 5-0 against Nate and the New York Noibats, putting them comfortably in first place. Second place going to both Mount and the Immunity Idols and J-Bear and the Graveyard with 4-0 wins respectively over big name coaches like against John and Tiro respectively as well. So very great games played. Like I said, make sure you guys go check out all the coaches down, link below. We had some amazing week 1 games and an amazing week 1 nonetheless. Now looking ahead to week 2, we didn't have many transactions, but we did have a couple all coming out from Mount and the Immunity Idols, who decided to drop Moltres, Morgrem, and Venomoth and decided to pick up Arcanine, Umbreon, and Muck. 3 real Pokemon, which I really do appreciate in these trades. Moltres is a really bulky Pokemon, really bulky fire type. You trade it for Arcanine, very similar bulk with the Intimidate ability, and then you trade out Morgrem and Venomoth, a budget screen setter and a budget sweeper with the Quiver Dance, but you don't really bring either of them for Umbreon and Muck, 2 very reliable Pokemon. Umbreon just very fat and annoying to deal with, and Muck that really solid grounded poison with T-Spikes and some very solid offenses nonetheless. So I really do respect these trades coming out from Mount and the Immunity Idols, and I really think they're going to help him move forward in this season. And moving on to our pick'ems part of this show, we will take a quick look at our scores from week 1, with Vivid having the best score of week 1, picking 6 out of 8. Myself and Marcus tied for second, picking 5 out of 8 correctly. You guys, the BBR fans, taking out 4 out of 8 correctly, and of course, unfortunately, Gentleman Thomas in that last place, only getting 3 correct last week. Looking ahead at this week, we do have a couple unanimous votes again. First out being with Mount versus Tiro. It was a dominant performance against Mount. It was a little bit of an unfortunate performance from Tiro with the Stone Edge miss, I believe it was, but a little bit of unluck on Tiro, but also just J-Bear looked very dominant. A lot of people are very confident in Mount this season, so it was a unanimous sweep for Mount this week. Moving into D-Ray versus Jack, we do have a 3-2 vote, primarily in Jack, but Vivid and the BBR Discord do believe in D-Ray, which is very justifiable. He did pull out a big win against Kyle last week in what was an upset to some people, so D-Ray, never count him out. Jack, phenomenal player nonetheless. A really good matchup between 2 very creative and very entertaining coaches. Next up, we have almost another unanimous vote for J-Bear, with Vivid being the one standout voting for Drewby. Again, basically unanimous. It was a very strong performance from J-Bear last week in his showing after defense for his title in his defense. And Drew is still shaking that rust off, getting used to things. He had a very solid performance against Keegan last week, though, so it wouldn't be a surprise to upset J-Bear, but J-Bear is a big task for Drewby to be taken on, so it's almost a little bit of David versus Goliath at the moment. Moving on to Kyle versus Slacking, this is one of the more debated ones between the analysts. We did end up 3-2 for Slacking, with myself in the BBR Discord voting for Kyle. This one I really had to look into the matchup for, but I really felt that Kyle's offense just kind of out-pressured whatever the hell Slacking's team is. Slacking's team is quite literally, in his words, just things on paper, and I feel like Kyle's offense kind of punishes his team for not being super coherent. But Slacking does have that veteran skill in him. He does have that very creativity in him, and very solid players both around. So definitely a very solid game to look forward to. Next up, we have one of the most highly anticipated games of the week, Owen versus Vepsis, 2 of the best players on Wi-Fi in the moment. It is a 3-2 vote for Vepsis currently. Myself, Marcus, and Thomas voting for Vepsis, with Vivid and the BBR Discord voting for Owen. I had to go against my boy this week because I saw the matchup, I saw the mocks from Owen's side. I really didn't, have faith in the process. I'm sorry, Owen, I'm sorry I didn't, but some people did who didn't see what I saw. But regardless of the matchup and how I thought everything was going, this is a phenomenal matchup. 2 great teams, 2 great coaches, phenomenal game. If I had to pick one game to pick out this week, it'll be either my pick of the week or this one, as they're just phenomenal games. games. Moving on up, we do have another unanimous vote against Nate. Poor guy, he's really just trying to get that rust off, but everybody's voting for D-Double this week. Everybody loves the hope, the underdog, the comeback kid. Dell has just really putting his nose to the grind, and Nate unfortunately is on the receiving end of it, as everyone does believe that Dell can kind of just push through this one. And next up, we do have the other game of the week vote receiver from myself and the BBR Discord. We do have John Jr. taking on Emil. These are two, again, of the best coaches to play on Wi-Fi at the current moment. John, phenomenal understanding of how the game works, of how Pokemon works, of building, and last season's finalist against Emil, the Lechonk god, the creator, the creative creator. It's just, there is not a situation that Emil can't work his way out of. So these are two very creative coaches. It is a 3-2 vote for John, with Thomas and myself voting for Emil, but this is one I wouldn't be shocked to get wrong, because this one is honestly just a coin flip. The matchup is super even, the coach skill is super even, the history is super even. It's just, this is almost as good as a 50-50 matchup as you could get this season. So honestly, a phenomenal matchup here. And last but not least, we do have Keegan taking on Jay Ricky. Unfortunately, a unanimous sweep for Jay Ricky, but this is one that a lot of us analysts actually had a hard time picking. So while it is a 5-0 vote, with you guys in the BBR Discord agreeing with us, the four of us, when we were looking at it, all had different reasons for picking Ricky, but we all had a little bit of trouble picking this one. So this one's another one that could go either way. Phenomenal coaches, phenomenal rosters, very even matchups. Both have phenomenal threats and defensive counterplay, and really just great matchups here. So this week has a lot of promise, and is a very exciting week ahead of us. So that has been our show. Once again, I will leave you guys with our fun little brain teaser of
Who's that Pokemon?
Alright, so for this week's Who's That Pokemon, we do have, their hint is they are a pivotal piece to a common archetype of Pokemon and of drafting. In Season 1, they were not drafted. In Season 2, they did go to OG Albina and the Miami Ments. Season 3, they were picked up by Olivia Sama and the New Orleans Saint Snow. But then, despite being available in Season 4 and 5, was not picked up by any coach in both those seasons, but makes their grand return this season to Galvanate and the New York Noibats. So, who do you guys think our Pokemon of the matchup was? How do you guys enjoy the lab? And with that, I'll see you guys next time. My name is Kurt. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm out. Bye!